everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Talk. My name is Dakasi. I'll be your host for today. And I just want to take a moment to introduce our amazing guests here. So we have actually someone super special. We have the founder of Baidi Network here. So we'll start off with her. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Odile Zoungrana. I am the founder of the Baidi Network.
Yay!
Yes.
Where are you calling us from, Odile? Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling us from the Bronx. So I'm from
Hashtag Bronx represent. Okay, great. Could you introduce yourself for us?
Oh, you said me? Oh, hi. My name is Zaina Touré. I'm calling in from East Orange, New Jersey. Nice to be with you guys. If you guys want to know, I'm Ivorian and Jamaican, and yeah.
Thanks for joining. And then we have Kadi, or do you prefer Kadi or Kadijatu?
You could put Kadi. Kadi is fine.
Okay, so Kadi, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kadi. I am calling you guys from New York, Harlem, to be exact.
Yes.
Nice to meet you all.
Cool. Hey, Kadi, I don't know if you're having a little issue, but your video went off. Can you guys see her, or is it just me?
No, I think my video went off.
I can see. Yeah, the video went off.
Okay, no problem. So, are you okay there? Okay, it's back now.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, welcome to all of our guests. If you've noticed, it's an all women's discussion today. So the topic for today is, do you believe that women like Megan, such as Megan Thee Stallion or City Girls, are a great representation for women empowerment? So that's basically, we're talking about women empowerment right now. So I guess, Odile, can you kick us off with this discussion? Do you feel like, women like, Meg Thee Stallion and City Girls and, artists like them or celebrities like them do really benefit the women empowerment cause, and do they really benefit the feminist movement?
Yeah, that's very complex. I think Megan Thee Stallion and City Girls are a microcosm of what feminism is and a strand of what it is. Like, I feel like for me, I'm like Megan Thee Stallion fan. I love her and how she's like proud of her. Like where she exudes her body and just is proud of how she is. I love it, but at the same time, I feel like there's certain parts of Megan Thee Stallion that I like or what she represents, but it's not entirely me as a feminist or what I define feminism. I feel like it clashes because I feel like as a West African, there's certain things that Megan Thee Stallion does that, like, I'd be like, yes, sis, but I won't do that, But it's like, so I feel like it's a little bit of both. Like, I do feel like she supports the movement, but I wouldn't say like, her whole, like how she represents herself is completely me. Like, I feel like I'm a little bit of Michelle Obama, and I could be a little bit Megan Thee Stallion. Like, I feel like I'm a little bit of both, but I do feel like Megan Thee Stallion in particular contributes to the women empowerment movement. I do feel like men on the other side don't really like the Megan Thee Stallions or the City Girls because they feel annoyed at how women are really reclaiming their sexuality and reclaiming how they like to exert themselves. But I would say they provide a lot to the feminist movement. I just feel like it's based on which each woman identifies as feminism or woman empowerment. So that's just my stance on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Zaina or Kadi, what are your thoughts there?
I agree with the previous person. I believe that when it comes to woman empowerment or the feminist movement, the City Girls and Megan Thee Stallion is just a piece of it, because I feel like, especially with their age, me being at the age of 25, I feel like age plays a very big part when it comes to the feminist movement. I feel like a lot of time we all have our definition. I think as the feminist movement, there's a broad definition. We all have our own definition. We all define with a single part, especially when it comes to West African, like she said. There's certain things we can't define with, but at the same time, there are other West African girls that want to define with that. They're just not comfortable with it because it comes with the bias or the judgment from our community as African women. So I feel like with Megan Thee Stallion and City Girls, I love what they do. I love what they stand for. But at the same time, I believe that what they stand for is for the age group that they're in. I feel like even they do represent women that are older than them or even younger than them. And I feel like we can't take that away from them, because I do feel like a lot of men say like, well, do you women don't want to be seen as a sexual piece? But it's like, why can we not be seen like that? Just because I put on booty shorts, I put on a bralette, and I go outside, That doesn't take for me having a 9 to 5 job and being someone's director in an office. And I hear people say like, oh, but who wants to have a boss that wears booty shorts, or who's going to take you serious? We don't know what people do on a regular basis when they clock out of work. Just because they don't put it on social media doesn't mean they're not doing it. And I think that's where the big problem is. People are like, well, what you put on the internet, that's how people are going to perceive you. I feel like that's a lot of the real world BS, because I feel like a lot of people put on a front. And as you can see with the whole Black Lives Movement thing, a lot of people BS, a lot of things have been coming out in a front row. A lot of things, people that we believe that did not know that they were doing this, we see them. So I just feel like with Megan Thee Stallion and the City Girls, it's dumb. That's dumb. That's what they represent in the feminist movement. And a lot of girls can relate to them. I can relate to them. It's in a certain aspect of what they do. And I feel like also age comes with a lot of things. So I feel like Megan Thee Stallion is one. She's 24. She just turned 24, 25. Yeah. I know she's one of those ages. City Girls are, I think, a couple of years younger than her too. So it's that. And it even go to, let's talk about Nicki Minaj. People are like, well, Nicki Minaj is pushing 40. She's showing her body. Okay, she's comfortable with her body. Yes, people might feel like, oh, well, her body's not real. She's about to be a mom. But what does that take away from Beyonce doing the same thing? Beyonce shows her body. She might not do it sexually, but she still wears a bodysuit like dancers. What makes it from a bathing suit? So I just think it's just age plays a big number. I feel like that's the thing I when it comes to the feminist movement, I do disagree with. I feel like a lot of people try to say, oh, well, as a young woman, no man is going to take you serious. Nobody's going to take you serious if you do this, that, and the third. But there are women that are married that still dress the same. That doesn't take away from them being a mom or mother or wife. Doesn't take away from anything they do in this world. So I just think when it comes to the feminist movement, like the previous person said before, is where you're at in that movement and where you at. How do you see yourself? Because I feel like with me, I could define myself as a feminist, but I don't define myself for everything that comes within the feminist movement.
Right.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
I call myself a semi-feminist and got flack for it. Like, what do you mean semi-feminist? I'm like, because there's certain feminism is so multifaceted that I can't identify with white feminism. I can't identify with, different forms of feminism. There's African feminism,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even within African feminism, there's different facets. There's being a woman from the Islamic faith versus a woman from a Christianity faith. There's so many microcosms of feminism. But, I think back to Dakassi's question, I think when people think of women empowerment and when they look at Megan Thee Stallion, City Girls, they think of they're empowering themselves, but would that get you a husband? Would that find you like a partner? I think that's what it really goes down to when you think of social media,
Yeah. So.
Zaina, what are your thoughts? Okay, so my thoughts is that so Megan Thee Stallion, I feel like she's a great entity because she's a girl's girl. That's literally how you could describe her. She is a girl's girl. She's cool as hell. She likes to have fun. She's not afraid to show her body. Also, another thing too that we come in, because we always try to associate tall girls with manliness, and that's not the case with her. That's not the case with her at all. And also the City Girls too, like Young Miami, she's still a mother, but she's still doing what she has to do. I feel like for me personally, I feel like feminism is really whatever liberates you, because there's some, for example, in our culture, a lot of the women are raised to be little madames, but that's what makes them feel good. But we can't sit there and say how they feel is not that's not real feminism. I think, like you said, most feminism is multifaceted. I feel like it's whatever liberates you. Me personally, I grew up, like, my mom was a single mother. My father was the first man she married. She hates marriage. She hates it, absolutely hates it. She's like, no, I want to be by myself. That's like freedom to me. She taught me how to survive without a man. Even though I wanted something different. I want to be married. I want to be somebody's wife. But for her, she's like, no, that's not for me. But I think, like, just learning from her and then also knowing what I want, I'm like, okay, like that's how it kind of makes this whole complex thing of what feminism makes to me. Me personally, I love the City Girls. I love Megan Thee Stallions. I love all that raunchy shit. I love the ghetto-ness. I love it. Because I don't think that it's right that men can go out there and be raunchy and be little whores and shit. And then you have somebody like Megan Thee Stallion, like you guys were saying, when they say something, it's like it's a problem. Them being like being sexually active. We teach men to be sexual beings, but girls, we're not allowed to have those kind of feelings. We don't ever talk to girls about how to like assert themselves in bed, how to make sure that they're not taken advantage of. Sex is not just for men. Sex is for it's for the both parties. So I feel like women like Megan Thee Stallion and the City Girls, them putting their foots on these men's neck, making them uncomfortable, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. 1,000%. It's not me. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, okay, I can sleep with this nigga and this nigga and this nigga. That's not my lifestyle, because I'm a mother now. I really don't have the time. But anything that makes these men uncomfortable, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. They made us uncomfortable how many centuries? Yeah. It's our time.
Yeah, I feel like you touched upon something super important, and like all three of you said, it goes back to what feminism means to you. But I want to take it a little further there, because my understanding of feminism is having a woman do certain or be free to do or choose to do what she wants, not only with her life but with her body, right? And if Meg the Stallion or the City Girls, if that's what they truly makes them happy and they choose to be able to do these things, and they want to do these things without any pressure from the male counterparts around them or anything like that, then that's totally fine. If you also choose to be a little more, what's the word? Less sexual and more demure and all that. If that is your choice, that's basically where I stand. Whatever you choose as a woman makes you happy, go for it. But I also see it from the other side, because there's a couple of people in the feminist movement who say, you know what, we're fighting so hard right now to not have men see us as just these sexual beings, to not see us as just baby making machines. And then you have, artists like, Meg Thee Stallion, the City Girls, Nicki Minaj, come out here and basically undo all the work we're doing. So I get their perspective, but I wouldn't necessarily agree. What are your thoughts on women that say those things? Like, they're bringing us back. They're making us sexual beings, which we're trying to escape. What do you guys think?
Right. I think that that's not true, because I feel like they are presenting themselves. Yes, they're overly sexual, but they're saying sex is for me. Like, that's for me. I'm not an object for you to enjoy. Nah, this is about me. If I want to sleep with you, I want to sleep with you. Like, it has nothing to do with what you want as a man. So I don't feel like they're setting them back. I honestly feel like that's part of their own damn insecurity, because I feel like when you get to a point in your life when you're comfortable with yourself and you know what you want from a man, and you know how to assert yourself in bed, then of course that's what you're going to focus on. So I don't think that they should see it that way. I feel like like we were saying too, I think that feminism is according to how you feel. So I don't believe that it sets us back at all. I think it's making us on top, because we're saying, no, we're not for you. I'm here for myself.
I like to like, not necessarily push back, but say like a different perspective. So to Dakasi's point, in terms of like, the feminist movement and women saying that they fought for, society to not take us as only sexual beings, do you feel that like they have a duty, like, even though you're a woman and you're individualized, but you have a platform, and when you do have a platform, making sure you're cognizant about that platform and how you utilize your femininity. For example, if I would like being Megan Thee Stallion, and I feel like the reason why I like Megan Thee Stallion more, I lean towards more Megan Thee Stallion because she's very intentional about what she does. Versus City Girls, I'm cool with them, but like, it's all like, get rich, get niggas, like, it's just very like, like. But like, I feel like with Megan Thee Stallion, when you hear her interview, she's very like intentional. Like, people used to shame me for being tall, being masculine, and I own it. But like with City Girls, it's like, just get niggas, get a Birkin. So it's like, it's cute. I like their songs, but I feel like I lean towards more Megan Thee Stallion because she's more assertive to it. And I feel like she's more cognizant that she has a platform, And I feel like when you're in the platform as a woman, and not even a woman, if you're in a marginalized group, and you're, I guess, presenting yourself, you need to be cognizant about how you present yourself and make sure that message has something, like when you're pushing yourself out there, make sure it has some message. And that's why, like, I feel like Megan Thee Stallion and City Girls is very similar, but with Megan Thee Stallion, she's very definite in what she's trying to do. I love City Girls, I love their music, but I feel like their messaging never really comes out as woman empowerment per se. It's just like their empowerment, like individual empowerment.
Right. And I get what I get what you're saying. I completely agree with that. But it sucks because then you have men out here that are telling young boys to be drug dealers, living this kind of life that they never even lived for themselves. But yet for example, like Future talking about trap houses and shit, but he never even exactly, but he never done none of that. He's never done any of that. So that's how I feel like, cause yeah, I do understand, because the City Girls, they have been called out on their bullshit. Like even in their past tweets, they do say some ignorant stuff. But then again, it's like you have men that are out there. Like majority of male rappers are like that too.
Majority of male rappers ain't really rappers; they're mumblers. Let's be real.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So a quick question here. So I after hearing all of you guys' thoughts, and you're like, we're all for Meg Thee Stallion and City Girls. And we kind of spoke a little bit about, them being like mothers and all that stuff in the family. Would you be open to your child being, if they choose to, being like Meg Thee Stallion or the City Girls? And I'm going to point this to Kadi first.
I guess it depends, because it depends on you. How do you, like me? I am a Muslim African. I'm a Muslim African. So I guess it goes back with the whole feminist movement. It goes back to what everybody is saying. Why I say with Megan Thee Stallion, she's a college girl. She always puts that out there that I'm in school. All of this does not take away from me being an educator. I'm still book smart. I can come and sit at you at the table. Same thing with Nicki Minaj. That's why I say when people talk about Nicki Minaj, I'm like, but Nicki Minaj's music is not only about that. If you listen to Nicki Minaj's album throughout the years that she's been out, she's a very diverse artist. She can talk about being book smart, or she could talk about being the stuff that she went through at home. She could be like Nas. Like we talk about how Nas is one of those. Nas look at one of those rappers he's diverse. He could talk about women. He could talk about just going on in our community, or he could talk about his upbringing. But at the same time, I think it's bad that they take that away from women when it comes to the feminist movement. So when it comes to my child, I guess religion will play a big part. But at the same time, if my child decides they want to listen to Megan Thee Stallion, I would not. If my child's of age to understand the word and not take it the wrong way, I would let my child listen to it. Because at the end of the day, that's unfair for my child to shelter, because it's like when you shelter your child too much. I'm not a parent yet, but once you shelter your child, they're gonna do it behind your back anyway. So it's you putting that cross line as a parent. No, I'm not your friend, but I do understand why you're listening to this, and I'll give you my opinion on it, but I'm not gonna take it away from my child, because at the end of the day, a child is gonna be a child, and that's just me being. I was a child. I mean, I'm still a child. I still have a parent. Like I know things that I wasn't allowed to do, but I still did it behind my mom's back. Like so, it's just like that thing was when it comes to the feminist movement. It goes back to even your second question. We can't say, oh, they're being sexualized, they're taking us back. As women, men see us as sexual beings no matter what. They make machines. Even with a regular t-shirt on, a man see, oh, she has big boobs, she has nice curves. You can't hide it. They still want to sexualize you. So it's just like, how can I take? Because my child can come out with boobs behind everything. My child can be fully clothed. But if a man wants to sexualize her, or even a woman wants to sexualize her, they're gonna do it because that's how they just feel.
And I have a follow-up question. Do you feel like how, as women, we present ourselves might add to like over-sexualization of people? Or do you feel like that's just society sexualizing women?
That's just society. Because I feel like with me, like I'm a busty girl. I can cover up, but I'm never going to be able to close my chest. But a man going to see like, oh, you got tits, or you got behind, you got thighs. So it's like, I guess it's just society itself and how that's how the world is set up. We can't, because even back in the days, let's talk about the whole when people were wearing corsets and they were fully therapies. They'll still be sexualized when they're fully dressed. So it's like, how do we discuss? How can we say women? Because it could be some women they're not intentionally doing it. That's how they feel comfortable. They can't hide it. They're not sexualizing themselves, but someone else see it as them sexualizing them. So I guess it's just how as society how we view one another and how we judge one another also.
I think for me, because I understand you entirely, but I do like to be cognizant of, like, for example, I think of, like, when I go to, like, certain, like, African barbecues and stuff, you see the girl, you see, like, there's girls that cover themselves up and you see that they're busty, but I feel like you see certain females that, like, truly dress a certain way to over-sexualize and stuff. That doesn't give anybody the right to, like, touch them. That doesn't give anybody the right to speak to them. But I do feel like there needs to be some type of accountability in the sense of how women present themselves or whatever, but necessarily not, like, how society perceives it, you know? But it goes into, like, and if, like, I might be the girl that might wear corsets at barbecue. You might be the girl that might cover up, you know? But I feel like it should be accountability of me dressing a certain way, but not necessarily society coming at me. Like, just because I dress a certain way doesn't mean you necessarily have to talk to me a certain way, or, like, you know, it doesn't give you the right to do anything. I don't know if I'm making sense with that aspect.
Yeah.
No, I completely understand what you're saying.
Go ahead, Zaina.
I was saying, like, from a perspective, like, for me, like, as a new mom, even though I have a son, but when I was pregnant with him, I thought about the things that I would want to teach my daughter. And I feel like I don't want to be in the position where I know everything that my daughter does, because I feel like their kids are still people. They need their own when it comes to boys and dating. I'll be damned if I let her get walked all over, just like how I got walked all over. It took me a few times to stumble, to soar, but I want to be able to give her, like, just be like, you know what, this is what, when it comes to a man, this is how you need to present yourself, or not need to present yourself, but this is how I would suggest that you would do it. I would want to empower her in the way, like, how Megan Thee Stallion is. Like, if she ends up being that way, then that's complete. If she's an adult, she's an adult. I don't want to feel like I'm controlling her life in any way. But I come from, like, when I was young, I developed very early. I had boobs very early. I started growing boobs when I was in the second grade. So from then I was being sexualized all the time. And it was like, I had to, no matter what I wore, no matter what, it was like, I was a freaking, like, C cup in, like, the third grade. Like, no matter what I wore, you would still see them. And it was really hard for me. And I felt very, very uncomfortable. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't even matter what you wear. Like, a grown man will sexualize you no matter what. You can wear a t-shirt, nothing. They will still sexualize you. If someone's even disgusting enough and bold enough, they will still rape you. It doesn't matter. But I want to be able to teach my daughter to be comfortable with herself, because there is a good chance that she's going to develop the type of body that I did. I don't want her to feel insecure like I did. I felt very insecure. I felt extremely uncomfortable, very uncomfortable about this, especially because it's like, you look like a freaking teenager and you're only in elementary school. So I feel like from being in that position, being like in like the attention in the classroom and given all that, like, I feel like I wish I could have owned it a little bit. Like, you know, listen, this is how I am. This is me. This has nothing to do with y'all. And I wish that somebody would have sat down and talked to me about that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And
so
I think the Megan Thee Stallions and the City Girls, they kind of enforce you being like, if you was like second and third grade and had in the Megan Thee Stallion, like, you know, be comfortable in, like, who you are, not necessarily exist the same way, but
yeah,
in your body, you probably would have never felt like, oh my God, you know. That's how I feel.
yeah,
Certain parts of that music is, you know, fine. I'm thinking for myself, to be quite honest, would I be comfortable, like, my daughter, like, exuding like City Girl, Megan Thee Stallion? I'm gonna just flat out and say, like, no, but then to a certain degree, like, it depends. Like, you can't be like 16 years old on Instagram. Well, it might not be Instagram by the time they're 16. It might be something
right.
else. But like that age, like, you know, Birkin bag me, and I'm like,
yeah,
did you graduate from high school? Like, you know, it depends.
yeah.
I feel like every parent, just to be honest, you want your child to get the best. Like, you want them to be highly favored in society in a professional stance, you know. But I feel like it just depends. Like, to Kadiatu's point, like, if you're of age, you know, if you're of age, I can't say anything. I'm going to give you the tools I'm going to give you all the tools in society, the resources, and you become your own person. I think everybody wants their child to be, like, you know, very well respected in society and looked upon highly.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I'm giving my child all these resources, I wouldn't want them to be like a complete city girl. You know what I'm trying to say? Or complete, like, I want them to be, you know,
Yeah.
Michelle
No,
Obama, but at the end of the day, that's their choice, and I don't knock it. That's not me saying, oh, I don't like those type of girls. I don't. I is what I want for my child. It's not saying one or the other is better.
Yeah.
I would want for my child, but hey, if my child is 21 years old, and making city girl workers and paying my mortgage, I mean,
Yeah.
I won't be really too mad about it. But I don't know. I wanted to be honest with myself.
I would stand there with you as well. Like thinking about, you know, if I have a daughter or you know, who ends up being like the City Girls or Meg Thee Stallion, who's just very comfortable. And I feel like that's the thing. You can be very you could be very comfortable with your sexuality without necessarily doing it overtly, right? And I think I have to go back to the way I was raised and the way and the values I hold to myself. Don't get me wrong. That's the thing. Like you can be a fan and support other women doing it, not necessarily want it for yourself. I necessarily don't want it for myself, and I don't want it for my daughter. But again, it goes back to if that is their choice, I would like to understand where it's coming from, and if that's what truly makes you happy, then sure. But reflecting on how it was brought up, my Burkina heritage, you know, my West African upbringing and values, it's just not something that I would want for them, because I don't even want it for myself, right? Because it's like, yes, the way we shouldn't care as women, and we should just do what makes us happy without, you know, taking into account, you know, how men or anyone else sees us. But we have to be realistic that we do live in a patriarchal society.
There's still double standards.
We present ourselves, which is so unfortunate, but the way we present ourselves is unfortunately gonna decide the treatment we get. And should not be the way it is, but we have to be realistic here. If I happen to wear a crop top and booty shorts or whatever, the way someone perceives me is going to be different than if I show up in a blazer. You get what I'm saying? Like that's
and it's sad because it shouldn't be like that.
It shouldn't. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't. It should not be like that. It really should.
Yeah.
What I wear should not determine what I have in my heart or what I have in my mind.
Exactly.
Really, that's how society is, and you have to be cognizant of it. You have to, because if you want to navigate this world and you want to be successful, or whatever your definition of success is, you have to be cognizant of how people perceive you, and then that's just how it is, you know. So, but if my daughter wants to be, you know, at a certain place in her life, or wants to live a certain lifestyle or whatever, just understand what's going to come with that lifestyle. That's all.
Right. I agree. For me to like try to explain my point a little bit further, I just want my daughter to know how to stand on her own 2 feet. Because that's the one thing that my mom taught me, was how to stand on my 2 feet. Like, I know, like, it's huge taboo in our culture to be pregnant, to have a baby without a husband or anything. When I told my mom I was pregnant, she said, listen, I know you can do it, and you got to make this decision for you. When I talked to my father was like, you know, we got to go to the man's house and we got to do this, we got to do that. But my mom is like, you make sure that you can provide for yourself and your baby, and that's it. And that's the one thing that I want to instill in my daughter, that she can stand on her 2 feet, no matter what decision, no matter what lifestyle she chooses, that she's able to stand on her 2 feet and she's able to back it. Because it can't be, I don't want it to be influenced by anything other than how she feels for herself. So that's my main thing. It's just teaching our girls how to be self-sufficient, how to be comfortable, and how to navigate through womanhood the best way that they feel, the best way that they know, that they're comfortable of. Because womanhood is defined in so many different ways. Like my mom, she's like the strongest person I know, but she hates marriage. It's not for her. But I've seen her, she made sure we had everything. The best we were living in a townhouse in Montclair, but she was a single mom. And she did it by herself. She didn't ask for no help from any of my brother and my father. She didn't get a dime from them, but she made sure she got it done, no matter what type of lifestyle she was living. She had boyfriends here and there, but she took care of what she had to do in her life. So that's what I want my daughter to learn, how to be self-sufficient, but also whatever lifestyle you choose, you make sure you're able to back it up.
Yeah, basically. Kadi,
I think when it comes to it goes back to I think it goes back with the whole, we have to learn how to break this what society thinks in our own head. Because I feel like that's what one thing I had to learn culturally. Let's just take religion out. I think growing up culturally within the African community, there's so much taboo stuff that a woman can't do. So much things that we don't speak about as a woman. But I feel like that's also very toxic because a lot of us growing up, we grow up a lot of things that we find that it's not okay, but we never knew why it wasn't okay. And in the back of our head, we're like, damn, this shit sucks. This sucks. And then when we get older, once we start doing it, it's like, yo, why could I not do this? Like, just because I think it becomes the thing is one thing, because I'm a high school counselor. So one thing I've learned is I can't live what society wants me to live. I can't live because that's how my culture defines. That's why my culture sees it as normal. Because yes, I might see it as normal, but my child can grow up and it might not be normal for my child. Just because like somebody was talking about Mr. Madame, like some people find it okay coming home serving to their husband. Some people find it okay being a housewife. But like for myself, I can't be a housewife. I know for damn for sure I'm not sitting home while my husband is at work and depending on my husband to take care of me because that's just not the life.
Right.
That's just not the
that's
lifestyle.
What you want.
That's not the lifestyle I can see myself living. It's okay for other African women to do that. They find it okay, but it's a taboo. You know, it becomes taboo. Back at home, a lot of women don't work. They just don't, and they're okay with it. But some of them are not happy with it because that's just culture. They're not happy with it at all. But it's so culturally in their head now that they just stuck at home doing it and just making babies and living with these husbands. So like when it comes to my child, yes, there's boundaries. I feel like a child needs to be raised. Things need to be taught to your child. You need to put that line across. But at the same time, don't make it to the point where it becomes a toxic trait. Because you know, a lot of us nowadays we're trying to get away from that toxic upbringing because a lot of us did have a toxic upbringing as women, especially women. I want to speak about the guys because I feel like guys, I wouldn't say they had it easier, but their upbringing compared to African girls, it was different. But it was toxic for us, and a lot with toxic for us. It I guess the word I'm looking for. It changed the way we thought about how to be a woman in society. And a lot of us had to learn the hard way, which sucks. But it's like because the conversation I had to learn the hard way outside my house, I could have sat home and had it with my mom and my dad, but I had to learn it from this. I had to learn it from outside. And it even goes with the whole dressing up. I could be a whole lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but I can be a lawyer and wear a short blazer and still be able to get someone out of court. Will people take me serious? No, but why is it that? And I think we as human beings, we need to learn how to break that because I feel like even though we live in a man's world, we need to learn how. Without a woman, a man can't do it. We have to learn how to have that conversation. Without a woman, a man can't do it. And no matter how much a man think they can do it, without a woman, same way with a baby. A man can't lay there and have a baby on same thing with a woman. It's something we have to come together as human beings and break that curse and break that toxic energy because it sucks when you're growing up and you're like, oh damn, I can't wear that. But it's like at the same time, it's like, why can I wear that? Because somebody's gonna judge me for it. At the same time, that don't stop me from making my 9-to-5 job. Because guess what? That 9-to-5 job I'm listening to, best believe it. Guess what's blasting in my ear? Some trap music, some city girls, or some Megan Thee Stallion. That's not gonna stop me from counseling my kids when I walk in that building at 8 o'clock in the morning. But guess what? That don't take away. So I think as women, when we women, that's what I love about Megan Thee Stallion is. She still go to Texas to you and she's still getting that RN degree. That's not stopping her from making her Megan Thee Stallion money. That don't stop her from being Megan. So I think as women we have as society we all have that. What's the word? I guess code switching. It's like code switching. We all have that code switching in us, and we just have to put society as even when you work, you're the big CEO as a job. We have to learn how to turn it off. Like you just know where to bring it and know where not to bring it. And it's okay to be that different person because I could be in my social media talking about my job one day and next minute I could be talking about, oh damn, Megan Thee Stallion new album was hot. I'm about to go home and turn up and twerk to it. That don't stop away from my job. And I think as women, we need to learn how to deal with that. And we need to also learn that sometimes it's okay to break away from culture because culture might not be right. A lot of, especially within the African
community. That's another conversation, to be honest. Culture.
That is we got to talk about that. We got to get into that.
Huge impact on feminism and thinking about being like, I'm just assuming, but probably being first generation West African. And how to balance that dichotomous nature. You know what I'm trying to say? And
Thank you.
Growing up, I used to call myself a semi-feminist because certain things I used to be like, the West Africanists is hitting me. So it's just like, maybe I'm not with feminism. And it's like me going to school and being around different individuals and being diverse to be like, actually, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Away from culture. Like, culture and norms is like a huge thing in culture is female gender mutilation. That's culture. Is that right?
Yeah.
No. So it's like, to your point, is like, there's certain things that we need to learn how to break away from. Like, being a kid, like, oh, you wasn't supposed to do. You don't ask. You just know you're not supposed to do it. When you get older and you get into your consciousness, it's like, well, why can't I do it? And it's just a larger question as like being a woman, how to break that stereotype to still navigate in society. Like,
right.
wear a blazer but wear booty shorts at the same time kind of thing.
Right.
Like learning how
Yeah.
to code switch. You get me?
Yeah. No, I agree. And I just wanted to add. Yeah, I just wanted to add 2 points to to what I was saying earlier. Like, and I totally agree with with Kadi and Odile just now. I want my child, or I should even say I want myself, because this is a battle I'm fighting myself now. Like, I want to be able to do as I please, or what feels right to me, without taking into account the perception of others. But
yes,
am conscious of how. That's basically what I like raising my child. I want them to understand, you know what, if this floats your boat, if this is what you want to do, of course, if that's what you like, go ahead, do it. But just understand that this is just unfortunately how you're going to be viewed. And I'm not saying that should stop you or should encourage you or whatever, but this is just, it's a thing that you do have to keep.
Fight 10 times harder.
Exactly. But also I feel like women, because we're talking about culture now, women who kind of break away from these cultural norms or all that stuff, especially relating to women's role in society, at first they are seen as like, oh, she's a harlot, or she's a whatever name in the book, but then in the future they're seen as pioneers. You see what I'm saying? So it takes one person to start it, and I feel like we're at this crossroad right now. The first generation is African. I shouldn't even say first generation, because I feel like even people who aren't first generation, like they don't live outside of, West Africa, there's that shift is coming, especially women empowerment is very, very big back home now. And they're starting to understand that being a woman isn't just one dimensional, as to Kadi's point, it's not one dimensional. It's not, if I want to be a lawyer, I can't, it's not just a lawyer. It's yes, and I'm a lawyer. Yes. And that too, and that too. And that's what encompasses me. That's what makes me me. And we have to be comfortable with having those, those multi dimensions to ourselves. As Odile said, we're multifaceted. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like men have the leeway to do that. Like, I remember like 2-3 years ago, I went to like this barbecue and I seen this like known like African-American politician just having mad girls twerk on him. I'm like, if a girl was to do that, a female politician was to do that, it would have been over for her. But he was allowed to be, diverse and just be free.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like, to Kadi's point, just really figuring out how to break that narrative. Because then sometimes I struggle with that as well. Like, how can I be free? Like, really exhume my femininity in a way that I want. Like, sometimes I say, I want to wear booty shorts. You get me? But at the same time, I want to be taken serious. How to like break that? And I feel like what really helps that is having women support each other. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think like supporting each other is the key thing. So like, it's like, yeah, Megan Thee Stallion might not be entirely me. And I just even stated, City Girls might not be in my cup of tea, but I respect that they sit there and they broke the narrative. You get me? And I'm going to continue to support them. I might not want to be like that. I might not even want my child to be like that. You get me? And I might even deal with some internalized misogynoir. And I feel like that's another thing. But at the same time, I feel like we have to continue to support it, because what happens 100 years later, Megan Thee Stallion and City Girls is going to be in our kids' history books. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
and it's the same way, like, I'm gonna support the City Girls, the same way I'm gonna support a female lawyer or Michelle Obama. Completely different worlds, but they're very similar in the same way too, seeing that they're both pioneers in their respective like lanes. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think women empowerment is very, very big, because most of the time women are the ones calling each other out on this type of behavior, and it's just more so than men. To Odile's point, so women supporting women is really, I feel like, what is gonna help, this feminist and women empowerment movement to really like help to just be stronger, So That's basically my thoughts there. Any other thoughts, Zaina, Kadi?
I completely agree with you guys. I feel like, especially being that we're first generation Africans, well, I'm like the first, like me and my brother, we're like the first ones to be born here. Like the rest of them, they're all straight off the boat. So I think it's like giving like that sort of like different perspective. Like there are certain things that I realize that is like really like toxic in our culture. Like especially like I feel like West African women, like we are taught to like endure a lot of things, endure a lot of suffering, like things that just aren't right in our relationships, things that aren't right in our lives. We're just taught to keep our mouth closed and play dumb. And that's mainly like, especially like now that I have a child, like that's mainly the advice that I'm given to. It's like just to play dumb, act like I don't know nothing and stuff like that. And I don't want my child to grow up in a world like that. It starts to affect you because you start to think that, okay, pain is normal. Like when you're in a relationship, that stuff is like normal. It becomes to be like normalized. Like this is what you have to go through for you to have a husband, for you to have that life. You have to go through all this extra stuff. But to me, I feel like we need to teach our daughter, it's not worth it. It's not worth sacrificing your mental health, sacrificing your emotional health for that kind of stuff. It's not worth it. So yeah, I completely agree with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So we have about 5 minutes left. I just want to turn it back to you guys. Any final thoughts on this topic? Anyone first?
My last thought is we have to support each other as women. And I feel like as first generation women, like even if we might be from different countries, we share the same experiences.
Yes.
So like if y'all have anything that y'all doing, let me know. I'll support it. I feel like we have to support is the key thing to pushing forward a movement. If you think about Black Lives Matter, the discourse between Africans and Caribbeans and African Americans and Afro Latinx folks, is because the reason why the Black Lives Matter movement is not being it can't be pushed as far as because there's no like unity or support. So for us to push each other, we gotta support each other. That's my last
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you. Go ahead, Kadi.
I think my last thing to say is just we gotta, as women, we have to learn how to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. Like we gotta be able to learn how to just be uncomfortable. And it's when I mean uncomfortable is when you walk in that room and even though you might feel uncomfortable, you have to learn how to be comfortable in that room and not let someone else take your side. It doesn't mean dim someone else light to dim your light. Because I think as women we've learned how to dim each other's light so bad because we want to be on top. We want to be on top. What sucks? Like me, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own nonprofit. I go to school, but that doesn't mean I didn't have done someone else like to shine a light on my entrepreneurship. It's we all can have a seat at the table, and while we all have a seat at the table, let's help one another come at the top.
Exactly. We all got to eat together. That's what I'm saying. And I feel like we have to protect each other too, because unfortunately we're in a day and age where it's like we feel we're not protected by our own men, but we got to learn how to protect each other as well. And that's like, that's the main thing, because that's the only way that we're going to get far. That's the only way that we're going to get to the top. We have to get to the top with each other. We can't just make it that far and then just forget our sisters at the bottom. We all got to grow. We all got to progress together.
Yes. Okay. Great final words. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. This was a really great conversation. I love getting women together and just hearing our thoughts and talking about issues concerning women, talked about by women, for women. Love it. So thank you so much for joining. And bye. I'll see you guys in the next.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Take care, guys.